Okay, everybody, welcome to the live stream. And I just wanted to take a couple minutes here on the Sunday where the news broke to discuss the situation surrounding Evander Kane, the San Jose Sharks, and now what it turns out to be Evander Kane and the San Jose Barracuda. I'm going to try and discuss everything here top to bottom, all of my either most relevant or compelling or insightful thoughts here that I can bring to the table, bring to the conversation. Certainly none of us were in these talks. None of us were part of this process. We've all been wondering about it. There's been a lot of question. There's been a lot of speculation because this is so rare. In any professional sports league that you have, the team's best performer of a season prior now kind of in limbo for the current situation and trying to figure out what to do next. What suits the player, what suits the rest of the team, how to remedy this situation for everybody. Let me begin by saying this. Today, as Joe Will addressed the media and not Doug Wilson, it was a step back moment. And to clarify, if you're wondering why that was, a couple days ago, Doug announced in a statement that because of medical reasons, he was going to have to take a temporary leave of day-to-day operations surrounding the Sharks. And I'm just here to say, I'm here to repeat that we're all thinking about Doug. We're all wishing him the best. One of the classiest individuals around. And you know how much it pains him to not be around during a hockey season, let alone a big piece of information and news like today. So I'm only saying that it was, as a Sharks person, a Sharks fan, it was weird not to see Doug in the driver's seat, kind of in the captain's chair for all of this and to be able to react to it. But we know he was part of the process. Look, this is not determined in his absence. Let's be very clear on that. I'm just saying, it was a different landscape to see somebody else kind of deliver the news, answer the questions. And I thought Joe Will did a really tremendous job of navigating the things that were directed to him today. You can watch the entire press conference right here on my channel. But I'm glad it's settled. This is my next point. I'm glad it's settled. I'm not necessarily surprised by the result, if you want to call it that, or even the resolution for right now. Now, the Sharks have said this is not a conditioning assignment. This is not like a rehab type thing. Baseball players do it all the time. There is no timetable. There are no set goals for coming back to the NHL or the Sharks yet. And by the way, this is all assuming that he clears waivers, was placed on him today. We'll officially find out tomorrow if that's the case. And then Tuesday is when Evander is scheduled to join the Barracuda. And from his agent today on Twitter, we're seeing confirmation that Evander will do just that. When I say not surprised by this resolution, I mean, I'm literally sitting here making a video saying this is going to happen 5 days ago, that he'd be waived probably. He'd be assigned to the Barracuda upon clearing, and then they'd figure it out from there. This is pretty much what happened. Not patting myself on the back. There were several others who had the same idea of this is probably what's most likely to happen, what's best for all parties. It's not a rash decision. I'm not saying, oh, I'm so happy I'm right. I'm just saying it kind of was, at least to some people, it was the front runner of ideas. I'm not going to say it was obvious because you didn't know. You didn't know if there'd be a trade involved. You didn't know how severe the Sharks might be in handling this. And not even to say buying out a player midseason is not necessarily on the table, which I think a lot of people had the inclination that it was. I also want to say too, and this is not weird timing, but I'm saying this because I think it's important to add to the conversation here. I've had a decent amount of interactions with Evander Kane over the years, in person or even virtually since the beginning of 2020. And I mean, maybe this is why I'm a bad person to be commenting on all of this, because I never saw any indications that this is a person who was going through something, who was having issues, who was against the grain, whatever you want to call it. I never got that firsthand impression. However, I think it's pretty clear, what's been said and what has not been said and also what has been said in body language alone by Sharks players, there were some things going on here behind the scenes with the team that teammates and others did not appreciate. So I want to throw that out there because I do think it's important. If I could have seen this coming months and years ago, I'd probably have an entirely different take on it. But because all of it was, a bit surprising, and I'm specifically talking about the interactions with teammates conversation. I know there are several other areas of, criticism and things he's gotten into that I'll leave alone. I'm just talking about him as a teammate, him getting along with everybody else. Although there are those other elements to consider too. But I do think it speaks volumes of the team that they were not ready to bring him back. Now, this is the allure, right, of a guy who's going to help your team. He's going to score goals. He's a very good hockey player. I don't think that's ever been in debate here. And how tempting it is, even though everybody on your team, or enough players on your team might not be thrilled with the idea, if you're running the team and it's going to help your team, right, how it is hard not to bring him back. And I think it does make a statement. It actually makes two statements here that the Sharks waived him with the intention of going to the Barracuda. Number one, that what players said made that much of a difference to this ultimate decision, what Shark players may have said. But also, I think it's interesting because there was so much speculation, even as of yesterday, that there was a team all lined up, set and ready to trade for Evander Kane. They were going to acquire Evander, and this would kind of close the chapter with the Sharks. Well, certainly that is either not a legitimate claim, that's not a legitimate report, or it didn't happen. And I'm not saying it won't happen, but it kind of puts a squash on that right now too. The fact that no trades were lined up, and the Sharks felt strongly enough in their team right now and the players right now to leave that be, to leave that alone. I think for Evander, joining an AHL team is, first off, it's hard to fathom a player of this caliber and talent. He does not belong there. And this is the whole storyline, honestly. If you were talking about an even mid-level, low to mid-level NHL contributor, a player who, doesn't have the stats that Evander does, and they were going back to the AHL, this would not be a big deal. But because it's certainly a player who absolutely does not belong there, the situation catches our attention. I know he's already served his 21-game suspension by the league for the falsified vaccination card. Had the other investigations, which I believe have come to conclusions. But I know the Sharks said there's no timeline on a return to the NHL with their team. You'd have to think that if he showed up with the Barracuda, had a good month or so, or whatever, that at least this would start to turn feelings and sentiments in the right direction. It might win over some people who had not previously thought of him in that way. It would make a statement to the team. Look, he's here. He's focused. He's ready to be, the teammate / employee that the club asks of everybody else to be. Has he already served a suspension for what the league determined? Yes. But is it completely visible here that there may be some more proving to do, and the American Hockey League might be a perfect place to do it? Now, I also think that although this is not a rehab stint, it's not a training camp, like I may have suggested that before, but I think it's true. I think what I was actually trying to get at is this is the opportunity to go play games. He has not played since the end of last season, which was, at this point, April. We're talking a good 7 months now since he's played an NHL game. Was that at the end? Yeah, it was at the end of April. So you could not have, even if it was come right back to the Sharks, I don't think it was a smart fit. You've got to get some games under your belt somewhere. This allows him, and the Sharks did say this, Joe Will, declared it, they want him to start playing hockey again. above and beyond anything else. I think that's valuable. But I also think that, this gives the Sharks a little bit of time to evaluate. What do we have here? Do people feel any different after 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is, till the Olympic break? I don't know. But I think that's why this is the prudent move. It's not a rushed decision. It's not a rash decision. It certainly goes against what you might expect. I mean, they're not greatly benefiting from this at all. They're getting $1.125 million of cap space. That is, that's not really worth it. I mean, it helps, but that's not a big deal. The Sharks are actually taking, a significant hit still to make this move. But I again, that's why I think it's the patient move. It allows for time to take place. Again, what if other teams, even if the Sharks aren't ready to, for lack of better words, bite on bringing Evander up after a month or so, what if another NHL team looks and says, all right, all reports are good from inside the Barracuda dressing room. The guy has scored, 27 goals in 13 games. You understand what I'm saying. Maybe that's enough of a selling point for somebody else to try it out. And, the timing would be good. Obviously, we're way before the deadline. So, again, this maneuver buys everybody a little bit of time. Quite frankly, it buys Evander the chance to redeem himself with whoever that needs to be. I'm not here to say, again, how deep the divide is, who it's with. I don't know. But this move right here allows the opportunity for some bridging to happen. Imagine, by the way, what it's going to be like as a San Jose Barracuda player. And you get NHLers all the time, in and out, but now you know that for a certain, probably, significant period of time, you're going to have a bona fide NHLer who very easily could be on the NHL team, who has all the talent and ability to be on the NHL team at this moment, but is not. That's going to be interesting. You do not see that every day. Questions were asked about Roy Sommer, the head coach of the Barracuda, longtime head coach of the AHL franchise. How did he welcome this? How does he handle this? And it's quite simple. He's dealt with NHL players all the time, and he knows Evander, especially from being the associate coach, I want to say, assistant or associate coach of the pandemic season two years ago, the one that ended short. So, I mean, there's no strangers here. Everybody understands the situation. I'm just saying, if you're on the Barracuda, this is going to be a very unique setup. And lastly, just to close this out, this will gather the hockey world's attention, how he does. And I think the best thing for Evander personally would be to perform and let the stats just do all the talking. I know people are going to ask for interviews. I know, he'll probably make a comment or a statement, maybe, as he comes back, or maybe not. And I think that it would be great if he did set a tone, leave it at that, let your play do the talking, and let others do the talking, right? You'll want other people to say what a teammate, what a person you've been in this opportunity. Guys from the Barracuda. So it's a rare situation. I don't know what happens next. If you're going to ask me still the odds of what the chances are Evander ever plays for the San Jose Sharks again, I don't know. But as for today, waiving him, not surprised one bit. Again, I kind of called this 5 to 7 days ago. Could another team pick him up off of waivers? Potentially. I don't think it's likely. And I do think that, a team that would want to trade for him, if that ever comes to be the case, I think they're also going to ask for some things to sweeten the deal, and that they're probably unfairly going to ask for that. Just because they can play we're the only ones knocking on your door, even if that's not true. I guess lastly, I didn't really touch on this. What does Evander want in all this? It comes as no surprise to him today how the team handled it. But, how do you, as an established veteran, to hear this, to know this is kind of what your next weeks and months are going to look like, how do you handle this and how do you tackle this appropriately? How do you do this with a smile on your face and to the best of your abilities, right? I'm just saying, as a human, he's capable of it, but it won't necessarily be easy. I think it's already a step in the right direction. He said that his agent has said that he will be showing up on Tuesday with the Barracuda. So just to recap top to bottom, was interesting today to hear Joe Will break the news and to know that Doug Wilson was out there, part of the decision, but not healthy enough to be around the team. Again, Doug, wishing you the best as you deal with the medical issues. I am glad it's settled. I'm glad for Sharks players. I would assume that there may be one more session where they get asked about this, maybe even post-game tonight, which I've always said is not a fair opportunity. Ask players about the game they just played. Save the off-ice stuff for practice days or pre-game sessions. But I think this brings a little bit of weight off a lot of shoulders. Front office, maybe even Evander, to know that this is what's next, even if it's not the optimal thing. As I said before, I never had a ton of bad interactions with Evander as a person. So a lot of this I'm still processing, and you hear what you hear from, reliable people. You've all seen it too. I'm talking about stuff that has been, present in the media. Also in the way that, players have reacted to this with things they didn't say. Big move that the Sharks didn't immediately add him back, knowing what he could bring to the team, but that they want to protect. They've got a team this year that may have turned the corner. And I totally get it. That's why fans, that's why the front office, they want to be super protective of a team that, that has just seen the light of where they want to go. And to do anything to jeopardize that, I think they're very cautious of it. Not fearful, they're just cautious of it. And again, for Evander, the opportunity to go out, just do what you do it well. Let that alone be your statement. See where this goes, and see. He wants to play in the NHL. Obviously, if you do that, right? If you do that with the Barracuda, whether it's the Sharks, giving you the opportunity, or whether it's somebody else knocking on the door and seeing it, it's time to sell yourself. But I think overall, none of this is a surprise. It buys everybody some more time. It's the prudent thing to do. So I will leave it there. Thank you so much for watching this video. And I'll have more on this situation, obviously, as it develops. But I thought it was important to try and just get all the thoughts out today on Evander Kane being waived. See ya.